I got a deck for you here today which will basically annoy anyone who takes Dragon Ball Super seriously, especially if they're not that good at it. So this deck here, it's aggressive. When you flip this card to this side here, you should win in the next 2 turns or you lose the game. It's kind of a 50-50. If they got the most expensive meta decks that cost like 180 bucks, okay, you lose. Whatever. Anyone who isn't doing that or isn't doing that well, you beat and they will hate you for it. And so you may go, why? Okay, so I'll explain this deck. This deck really works around 4 or 5 cards, and then everything else is superfluous. You're just changing little pieces out to try and make it more efficient, or try to, oh, what if it drags to the late game? But if it drags to the late game and you don't hit 1 or 2 exact combos, I mean, you lose. So I've kind of opted to just play a little more aggressively, and also to put in as many infinite multiplication meta coolers as possible, because I feel like that's slightly more annoying. So yes, how to lose all your friends. The leader here is interesting because he's kind of trash. He's kind of the weak point of the deck, but that's okay. When you place this card in the leader area, choose one big get star from your deck and place it in the battle area in active mode. Then other than that, you draw 2 cards when he hits full life. So he does nothing on this side. But the big get star that he drags in does. So it's a field card. You can't really remove them, as far as I know. Although they did just bring out a new set, so who bloody knows. Activate main. Switch this card to rest and place 1 card from the top of your deck in the drop area. Choose 1 meta cooler with 2 or less from your drop area and play it. Blah, blah, blah. A lot of talking. This is the card that this deck really revolves around. You can have as many of them in as you like. So if you look here in my amounts, I've got 29. Although when I actually play this in the physical version, I play about 25. But on Octagon, I was just experimenting. So this is the current version of the deck. Cool, it's 2 for 15,000. So even once they flip their leader, you're still forcing them to burn combo. This guy basically burns a card off the top of your deck. And then if you have any of these in the graveyard, you grab 1 and put it on the field. So it's a 1 for 15,000. And you don't have to take it out of your hand in order to get another creature on the field. So it's kind of consistent pressure, and if their deck's not efficient, just this mechanic alone with 1 of these in hand, 1 of these in the graveyard, put 2 creatures out on turn 3. Like if their deck is slow or clunky, they're gonna lose just due to this. And I've won enough games just due to this. Meta Cooler Core. You place your big get start under here, so you're all inning at this point. You need to win basically this turn or the next. You choose up to 1 meta cooler core from your deck and place on top of this card. You could grab this card, but you're actually grabbing this card. Even once you've used all your other meta coolers and tapped them out, which means you can't combo with them, his first ability, which you don't only use once per turn, you can do it as many times a turn as you want, means you can take all of those guys you've already attacked with, throw them all in the graveyard, and get plus 5,000 power with them. So it basically means you get to attack with all your other cards, and then you get to combo with them anyway. You put Big Get Star under the card that you put under this card. So because of that, you get to, when he comes into play, you grab 2 meta coolers from your drop area and play them. And remember, each turn, you've been tapping Big Get Star and throwing a card from the top of your card in the graveyard. You could straight up just combo with the attack before that you do this to put an extra infinite multiplication in the graveyard. And then you're going to get it right back on the field anyway. And then you get to swing with it again, and then you get to sack it to him. When he attacks, he does the same bloody thing. So you get 4 of your dudes out of the graveyard, and you can even attack with 2 of them, sacrifice them, give him plus 5,000 for the duration of the turn, attack with him, his ability will grab them back out of the graveyard, then you can sacrifice them to him again. So you can hit like 45k just off of the 2 boys that are brought in with that ability there. I forgot to tell you what the other side of this does. So, other side of this, if 3 or more of your meta cooler are in play, choose one of your opponent's cards and tap it into rest mode. Blockers make this deck choke, so this is good. When this card attacks, take 3 cards from the top of your deck, put them in the drop area, Choose one Metacooler or Metacooler card from your drop area and add it to your hand. So, for example, if you don't have this, you go put this in your hand. If you just want boost, you're just going to put one of these in your hand and then throw it back away, probably on that very attack. So your leader, once he flips, this 15,000 can be 20,000 every turn. And filling up your graveyard is really going to help if this boy comes down, which is pretty cool. This guy here, choose 2 Metacooler from your drop area and play them, can also grab this guy. So this guy's kind of your plan B, and it actually happens more commonly than getting this down, actually having it live for a turn, actually reaching turn 5, and then womboing out, because most people will realize that that's obviously a bad thing. If you pay 5 for a Union Absorb, they're afraid of whatever comes up. This here, you pay 4 to evolve. If they're awakened, so they're on 4 or less, you get to awaken. It's pretty cool. I've only ever used that once, ever, because I'm not a stall deck. But it's kind of cool, I guess. All your other Metacoolers gain double strike. He doesn't get it. He does. That's basically the meme there. So this guy's pretty good, and I've won games just off pressure from my Metacoolers over and over and over again, and then dropping him and then winning the game. That does do it sometimes. Awaken Warrior Bardock. So if I don't think I'm getting my 7 drop out, especially, these guys are really good just because it gives you an overarm that doesn't require any mana. If you got 1 spare mana, you'll generally drop it into that, and then if you've got an even number of mana, so 4 or whatever, you're going to drop 2 of that into him. So it's cool because you can actually get this on like turn 2 or 3 if you choose to boost. And then on turn 3, I mean, you'd be swinging with the one that you bring in from Big Get Star, the one that you played from your hand because they're just 2 drops, and then you'll be swinging with him as well. So it's like 4 life of pressure on turn 3. So I personally like this card. I was experimenting with, you'll see it in the sideboard later, the foos, but I don't like having to pay that mana. Flying Nimbus, if you do have a mana open, although you're playing a cell deck and turn 3's coming around, so you basically know that they're about to slap you. You get to negate attack, throw a yellow card in your drop area. If you do, they can't attack again with battle cards, or they can attack one more time with battle cards for the duration of the turn. So if they're kind of doing what you're doing, which is spam, they can't attack this turn, and then you buy another turn, and you just buy a little time, drop your 7 drop, spam more creatures than they can, and win. Destructive Occupation Freezer. A lot of decks have something like this. 1 for 10k, he comes in rest mode. This is another good option. Say, for example, you do have 4 mana, but you don't have this. You pay 1 for your Big Get Stars ability. You pay 2 for the guy from your hand, for just another infinite multiplication from your hand. And then you drop this as well. So that's 3 creatures. This being on the next turn, and you got to combo, and you could even do the Awakened Warrior Bardock. The only problem is like, this helps you conserve card advantage, but this deck is kind of bad for card advantage overall. So it's kind of a band-aid on, a wound that needs something more than a band-aid. Alright, Scientist Foo. So if the game does drag on a little bit, or once you awaken your leader, you're throwing 3 a turn in the graveyard, so Overwhelm is very easy for you to hit. He draws you 2 cards, which is amazing in this deck because, again, you're choking on card advantage a little bit, and he double strikes. So that is the meme with this deck. You're not playing a tier 1 deck. This is kind of a tier 2 deck, but in certain situations it will just frustrate the hell out of people, and it's not particularly expensive. Dimensional Banisher Foo, I like a little more than Scientist Foo, because it removes pieces on the board which like stagnate everything, and if the board stagnates, you kind of lose. So, for example, there's Android 16 where he can block if he kills the creature. Sorry, if he revenges, kills the creature, untaps, blocks, avenges, or kills the creature. That sort of stuff is really, really annoying. So you can remove a key piece and then you go in for double strike. I just found personally that this was not as helpful as the plain double striker that takes one less overwhelm and costs one less mana, just because of the aggressive nature of the deck. But he's amazing. Crushable. I mean, they play a huge drop. You tap it, yeah, sure, get it and rest, and then you try and tempo them out. Darkness Eye Beam is, again, for more mirrors, so this is actually more a sideboard card, not just an idea. Some of these are just ideas or stuff that I used to run. You do it during your turn. There's a 4-drop version where you can do it during their turn, but this is kind of better, and you tap them out. So if they're relying on blockers to keep them alive and they play like 3 of them, you just tap out. Also, if it's a good counter to cards that, you know, tap, untap, tap, untap, tap, untap each time they kill a creature. Death Razor. So this I was pairing with Crushable because you could tap even a 7-drop like Cell that gets played. They don't get to attack with it. Then on your turn, you KO it. The fact you can only do this during main means it's not like amazing. I can see why most people don't play it. If you could do this, for example, like you do a magic in their end step or at the end of their turn, and it would give you a reason to leave your mana open when you don't have a combo. But as it stands, this isn't bad because you can still kill their key piece, and then you can overwhelm and tap Big Ed Star and throw in for 1, even on your turn 3. That's a pretty good turn 3. Ox King, Dead at Heart. I took this out because there's too many cards that get around barrier now. The cool thing is he gives all your yellow cards that are under 3 barrier, so for you that can be like 6 bloody creatures. If you play 2 of them, they protect one another, because the only thing he doesn't barrier is himself, but I feel like there's too many workarounds, and it's just not aggressive enough, so I'm like, forget it. Probably worth putting in a sideboard, though. No Opening Sun Goku. If you are kind of playing a longer game, and these games are dragging out, and you want to awaken yourself to fill your graveyard, so that your combo has stuff to pull, these can be good. A lot of the time, though, you're going to end up playing these in mana because it's basically the freezer. So you get him in to play him in rest after you combo with him. But you get to choose a card from your life, add it to your hand. So that can be really, really good. These I experimented with because they're free, but a lot of the time they're a dead drop. Like if it's turn 5 and you're about to win the game and all you need is another meta cooler, or you need a combo piece, you're going to be annoyed that you drew this, and you're just going to throw it for either mana or for the combo. And you can't use any of the graveyard recursion sort of stuff that you're using elsewhere to get this back out. So these are funny if you have 2 or 3 of them in your hand. It is actually quite amusing, but then you've just thrown 3 cards out of your hand and you don't have good ways to replenish it. These I just saw on the net, people were running these. It's kind of cool. It's 2 for 20,000 because Big Get's in your area for the whole game until you hit your 7-drop. And he has blocker. So you can protect yourself from anything particularly spicy, like they overwhelm in a double striker and you're like, okay. The only thing is, if you have your 7-drop out and 2 of these, you can't sacrifice them to his ability. You can't grab these and put these back in your hand and then combo with them with his ability. So it kind of doesn't just feed the machine going forward. It's probably worth playing them, but I don't like them. I've had them out a couple times where they've caused me bad problems. Bad Ring Laser. I mean, it's pretty easy to see why you play this. It is a lot of card advantage for a deck that doesn't draw cards, so I try and avoid things like this, but sometimes when someone has a card that just perfectly shuts your deck down, this is good. And especially if they kill creatures with their counter, this is very necessary. So this is worthwhile on the sideboard. That's really all. The main thing to stick to is you probably actually want like 25 of these. I've just put more in because I'm in a state of experimenting, but sometimes, you know, the Crushables come into my deck. Sometimes they go out. Sometimes I have 4 Flying Nimbus. It's hard to get this one efficient. That's kind of the problem with this deck, is this leader isn't amazing. He's good once he flips and he does fill your drop area. But in yellow, there's not like a bunch of spicy ways to go ahead and get stuff out of your drop area. I did consider running more Overrealm and then playing the... Is it Dark Pact? There's a card that will go ahead and grab a 4-drop or less from your Warp and play it. But the problem is that card can't grab Awakening Core Metacooler. If it could, that would be perfect, and I would actually run more Overrealm. But as it stands, I don't find anything that's worthwhile to get your cards back out of your graveyard. And a lot of those cards are in black, so... It's like, if you're going to do all of that, you may as well just run a deck that plays Overrealm cards better. For example, like Mirror or Demigra or something, if that's really what you want to do. And it would also start to inflate the price, because black cards are expensive because you can put them in any deck, and they work. Especially the ones where you only ever use the Overrealm on them. You know, you never even actually pay much mana for them at all. So anyway, that's the deck. It's not going to win every single game. If you can win like half of your games down at the local place, then you're doing well with it. I do like it. This is a fun deck. It's the only one that's like this. It's a little bit unique. They're going to get very sick of looking at this card. And, you know, it is a deck that just invites smack talk and a bit of fun. So I really like this one as a fun deck. And I might even put up some gameplay. I don't know if it'll be on Octagon or if it'll be the physical cards. I feel like Octagon's easy to record because it's just screen record. So I'll do a game versus my brother's Cell deck, which surprisingly this beats slightly more often than it loses to. And then he has a Pam deck and a Krillin deck. And the Krillin deck kind of kills this because... I don't know. It's just better at being aggressive. But I'll probably upload those a little bit later. I'm going to start uploading to the channel again. I got one of my videos copy striked, and then I kind of got salty and stopped uploading. But I'm probably going to start putting videos up more consistently now. So yeah. Anyway, see yous. Peace.